And welcome to today's session. The Nigeria 365, Nigeria Microsoft 365 community, where seasoned professionals come together to teach us what they've learned and the industry standard and what's obtainable at the moment, just to ensure that we are job ready for those that are just transitioning into cloud computing or the cloud space, or for those that are already there. It's just the community came together to also empower us to be more efficient in our jobs and then to be up to date with the new updates that are coming out or coming up. So Microsoft 365 is a cloud service that is updated every now and then. I know some of us must have heard about the types of channels through which these updates are pushed out. So again, the purpose of Nigeria Microsoft 365 community is that we empower not just Nigerians, not just Africans, everyone that is willing to transition or to update, upgrade, and then be efficient in your day-to-day activity. And last week we had a session where we looked at how to create sites in SharePoint, the SharePoint Online track, and we looked at how to create sites and do some things around sites, sub-sites, and the likes. Today we'll continue with or in that line, and just give me a moment. Let me put this in presentation mode. All right. So today I will continue from where we stopped the last time. Today we'll be looking at managing SharePoint storage, quotas, limits, and life cycle policies. So in everything you do, right, there are limits or limitations to what you do. There are sizes to everything. Even your phone has a memory size and all that. So also SharePoint Online, basically the types of the quota, the limits, different limits, just to ensure that you don't go beyond what you need to do and then break your site. So that's what we'll be looking at today. My name is Joshua. I'm Adigun. I am a project manager, a Microsoft certified trainer, and a Microsoft MVP, Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. I'll be the one moderating this session, as you already know, today. And we have our speaker, Nyore, here, who is a seasoned SharePoint Online subject matter expert. It's lots of experience in that space, and I've supported the largest, I would say, the largest Microsoft partners. And again, still supporting one of the largest Microsoft partners in the world, not in Nigeria. So she has a vast level of experience, and she's here to put us through, to show us the quotas, the limits, and other policies, right, that relates to SharePoint Online. So our advice, like I did the last time, that whatsoever you're doing, ensure that you give this your rapt attention, because should be mentioning some few things, and that you might miss out if you are not fully attentive. And again, even as professionals, even myself, I still definitely would give my time, my 100% attention, because no man's an island. There are some new updates in SharePoint Online that I might not be aware of. Nyore is going to give us those updates and in line with the topic today. So we appreciate you coming on this session today, Nyore, to continue. We also, just to recognize our leaders, we have our matron here, Olajumoke, popularly known as MJ. She's a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, so certified trainer, and also the CTO, Chief Technology Officer. So should know she has a lot of industry experience in the technological world. She's the matron in the Nigeria M365 community, and we also have some of our leaders here. Let me recognize everyone before we proceed. We have Oyimafu, Emmanuel here. Nyore is also a leader here. And everybody that is part of this session, you are all welcome to today's session. Before I hand over the mic to Nyore, let me just quickly tell us about the housekeeping rules. Please just note that at the end of the session is being recorded, and at the end of the session, the link to the recorded session will be made available after it has been uploaded to the community's YouTube channel. Also, let's ensure that all our mics are muted. If you have questions, please pen them down, or you can just type them in the chat box. I, the moderator, will go through the chat. I'll definitely mention your questions or draw the attention of the speaker to your question, right? And then she would address that, or I will also address some in the chat. Please do not unmute your mic. And when I ask or the speaker asks for feedback, right, just give a thumbs up or use your favorite emoji. This is just to ensure that we don't have people unmute their mics and then we have different interference. Yeah, so thank you very much. Also, just to let us know that we have a YouTube channel where all present, previous, and future recorded sessions will be uploaded, so you can check it out. There are lots of materials there that you can go through. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please ensure you subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and share with your friends and colleagues. You can also follow us on the Twitter channel handle at NGM365. And then you can also be updated so that you can be updated of future events or videos that are dropping. So thank you very much for joining this call once again. Over to you, Nyore. Thank you.
Hello everyone, good evening. Sorry, just before I go ahead, Joshua, please, sharing is disabled for me. I don't know if you're the one to enable that.
Okay.
Yeah, saying only meeting organizers and presenters can share. Okay, I'm good. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just as Joshua has mentioned, today we're going to be talking about storage. So I'm going to share my screen and then please let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, so I'm going to do. You can do a thumbs up, please, if you're able to see my screen. Okay, great. Thank you. So we're talking about storage today. Just like as earlier mentioned, last 2 weeks, we talked about SharePoint administration. So this week, we're basically talking about storage, quota limits, and all of that. Storage, as we know, is okay. Storage for phones, for example, you need to know, oh, what do I need to have to not exceed my storage limits? My storage has is almost full. What do I need to delete, or how do I manage the storage and all of that? It's not so different from SharePoint. Storage is storage in whatever scenario it is. So we're talking about SharePoint and OneDrive storage. So we're basically going to touch SharePoint tenant storage, SharePoint site storage. How do you get more SharePoint storage? Tenant storage diagnostics, OneDrive storage, license per storage, how to increase OneDrive storage, how to run diagnostics for your OneDrive storage, we did some diagnostics when we were talking about site administration, just to, help you quickly detect whatever issue you're having. So it's still similar to this. OneDrive retention, and then um, basically users OneDrive storage, um, all of that. So I just went through everything we're going to talk about because now I'm going to go ahead and go over to SharePoint Admin Center and just go ahead from there. Okay. So I have moved to another screen. I hope we can still see my screen.
You can see
Okay.
your screen, but the slides are not moving.
I'm currently showing the SharePoint Admin Center.
Nyore, we can see the slides. So I think you need to
Can
share
still
your
see the
entire
slides.
screen. Yeah.
Okay. I'll stop sharing and share again. Okay.
Good.
Can we? Okay, thank you. So, first thing we're going to talk about is the SharePoint storage. First, when you create a tenant, um, your whole SharePoint tenant comes with 1 TB of free storage by default. It comes with 1 TB of free storage. And then when you have some extra licenses, you have storage, like 10 GB of storage attached to it. So I'm just going to show us this, for example. So total storage per organization, when you set up your tenant, you have 1 TB of storage. And then you have 10 GB of storage per license. But the 10 GB of storage per license still depends on the type of license that you get. And you can see that from here. Business standard, you get 10 GB per license. E3 to E5, A3 to A5, G3 to G5, and so on. So per license, for some license, you get 10 GB per license. So if you have 1 TB of storage in SharePoint, the number of licenses that you have times 10 GB would then increase your tenant storage. And then for a site, you see you have 25 terabytes per site. Maximum, so this basically means the maximum storage of a site would be 25 terabytes. But this is something that causes confusion for a lot of people, SharePoint users and even SharePoint admin. What do I mean? Let me go back into this and then go to our site, the site that we created the last time. This is the site that we created the last time. So first things first, we saw on that article that says you have 25 terabytes per site, right? And then I will just go into my site and go to storage metrics. So here you see that you have 25 terabytes basically. 25 terabytes basically. So, and then, sorry, I'm trying to take this off. Okay. For the tenant, we said one terabyte. And some people, for example, they have a lot of sites here, and then we have exceeded the 1 terabyte storage, or we have used almost 1 terabyte, and then this is red. And then they'll come into the site to say, but in my site, I have 25 terabyte free. What do you mean that my tenant storage is full and I cannot add more storage? I have space here. You need to move the space that I have here into the admin center. But that's not how it works. That only means that you can only use 25 terabytes in a site if you have up to 25 terabytes in the whole organization. Just for example, I will use our phone again, for example, to say, oh, WhatsApp says you can use up to 1 terabyte of, or your space, or your WhatsApp, for example, can take as much as 5 terabytes, but your phone space is not even up to 1 terabyte, right? So how do you get WhatsApp that is 5 terabytes into a phone that has just 1 terabyte? So that's the confusion that most people have most of the time. And then they raise tickets to Microsoft to say, oh, my storage is not correct. I'm supposed to have 25 terabytes. Inside of my site, I can see that. Okay. Inside of my site, I can see that I have 25 terabytes, and then here I have just 1 terabyte. It doesn't make sense. So that is one thing that I would like us to be clear on. If you don't have the fact that your site says you can use up to 25 terabytes, if you don't have up to 25 terabyte here, you cannot use it in a site. So, and also, if you have, for example, in your whole organization, you have up to 50 terabytes that is free here. In one particular site, you cannot go above 25 terabytes, no matter what. That is the maximum that a particular site can take. So once you're nearing 25 terabytes, you need to move to a different site. There's no way to increase a SharePoint storage site on its own. 25 is the maximum. So I would go ahead. So then sites. An organization can have 2 million sites per organization for whatever license you have, 2 million. So there are ways, so apart from having 10 gigabytes per license for storage, when you get licenses, 10 gigabytes per license, you can also go to, for example, you don't want to get extra licenses. You can also go to your admin center and purchase extra storage, just the same way you get a license. When you go to your admin center, you can purchase extra storage, and then you pay per extra storage instead of getting licenses. So that's that. So let's say, for example, you're having issues with your tenant storage, and you need to confirm, oh, how have I used my tenant storage? Or you need a breakdown on how your storage has been used, or what amount of storage you have, and all of that. We can run a diagnostic, and then it's going to give us a breakdown on our storage usage. So I will just quickly do that. SharePoint storage. So this is this. I'm already logged on to my admin center, so only an admin can actually use this diagnostic to see the storage breakdown of the tenant. So I'm just waiting for it to come up. So you put in your admin URL here, your root site URL, sorry. Then run test. So this is basically supposed to give me a breakdown of my tenant storage. Okay, so most times it says this because I have enough storage, but if I didn't have enough storage, it's going to tell me how many percent I have used and what I need to do. Okay, so I would go in your admin center, you also have reports. So I would do this. Not sure why. Okay, so basically these are OneDrive accounts. Report is supposed to show you something on storage as well, how storage has been used for a particular time. Okay. Okay, so basically this is everyone in your organization, their OneDrive storage. And then you can just go here and see the amount of storage that has been used or that each person has used in the organization. So I'll quickly move ahead to OneDrive storage. I'll move ahead to OneDrive storage now. Let's see. So for OneDrive storage, also depends on the license that you have, right? So there are some license that you would have that your storage will be limited to 1 terabyte. As we know, SharePoint is basically for collaboration, for everyone in the organization, for easy collaboration. And OneDrive is like a personal space where you store in your personal data, your personal files. You can also share, but it's basically personal. So storage also depends on the license that you have. For example, if you see on this table that I have, OneDrive Plan 1, Microsoft 365 Business Basic, Business Standard, Business Premium has 1 terabyte per person, 1 terabyte of data per person. You cannot increase this type of storage. You cannot increase this type of license storage on OneDrive from 1 terabyte. The limit is 1 terabyte. So if you want to have more than 1 terabyte, you would either have to get E3, E5, and all of that. Any license that has OneDrive Plan 2, you'll be able to increase your storage. The default storage is 1 terabyte, or you'll be able to increase your storage from 1 terabyte to 5 terabytes. And then you can also increase from 5 terabytes to 25 terabytes, and from 25 terabytes. So E3, E5 basically has unlimited OneDrive storage, but you need to have up to 5 users to be able to increase the storage. If you don't have up to 5 users, you are unable to increase the storage. But if you have up to 5 users, when you have used up to 5 terabytes, you can raise a request to Microsoft, because Microsoft has to configure your tenant to be able to increase up to 25 terabytes. By default, you cannot increase to 25 terabytes just like that. Microsoft will enable your tenant to increase up to 25 terabytes. And then if your user has used up to 90% of your 25 terabytes, Microsoft would then give you an extra storage, but that will be added to your SharePoint site. So I'll quickly go back to the tenant and show us how we can increase OneDrive storage for a particular user. So OneDrive is personal, so it's attached to a particular user's OneDrive. So I would just look for myself. Then so in your admin center active users, you search for the user that you're trying to increase their storage. You select the user, go to OneDrive. You should be able to increase a user's OneDrive storage from here. For example, as you can see, I have 5 terabytes of data here. So I can edit it. So I've set my organization's default limit to 5 terabytes. So this is same as organization limit. I would show us that, but I can also say, oh, I don't want this particular user to have 5 terabytes. I can say 2 terabytes for user, and then I save the user storage. So if I can see the storage has decreased from 5 terabytes to 2 terabytes, and then I can just increase it back to 51220 and save, and that is that. So to set the organization storage, because if you see when we came here first, you can see that maximum storage was set to, you can see that it was set to same as organization's default limit per user, which means that the organization storage has been set to 5 terabytes per user. So I would show us where to set that from. So back to our SharePoint Admin Center. We'll go to settings here. So SharePoint settings, you see your OneDrive. You see OneDrive settings here, right? So we're checking OneDrive storage. So organization has set their limit to 5 terabytes, and that's why we have 5 terabytes when we went to a particular user's OneDrive. So if I say I want to set the organization storage to, let's say, okay. So let's say we want to set it back to 1 terabyte, for example. So I have set this now to 1 terabyte. So let's see what happens when we go back to this user. We could see that it is already in 5 terabytes, but now I've changed the organization storage. So let's see what happens now. Okay, this might be taking some time. It might actually take some time for that to reflect per user. So we'll just check one more time and then we can come back to it later. To see if it has synchronized. Okay, so we can see that the organization storage has set back to 1240 and it's no longer it's now on 1 terabyte. It's no longer on 5 terabytes. So with time, this thing would also change from here to 5 terabytes. So Then we have SharePoint storage limits, right? For a site. So you can decide to say, okay, just like I explained earlier, users are getting confused or customer is getting confused that they have, oh, I have 25 terabytes in a particular site. Why am I not able to use the whole site? Or let's say, for example, you are a SharePoint admin. We've already set this to manual, so you can set specific limits for each site. So as a SharePoint admin, you're trying to manage the 1 terabyte that your organization has. Your organization have, you don't want to just let people in different departments um use whatever storage they like. You can set the storage to say, okay, I want a particular tenant or a particular site to use just a particular limit on a site. So that has been set to 25 terabytes, which is what comes with all of the site by default. But you want to say, oh, I want this particular site to only use 500 gigabytes. So you can come here and set it and save. That way, when they use up to 500 gigabytes, the site would already be full. And then, so let's check this and see if it reflects immediately. So you can see from 25 terabyte that we have now changed it in the admin center to say, okay, I want this site to only use, or I want people in this department to only use 500 gigabytes. I don't want a situation where, oh, they would have finished all of the storage we have in the tenants before I would then think of what to do. So if you set this to 500 gigabytes, and let's say, for example, they have used all of the 500 gigabytes and they come to you to say, oh, our site is full, we need more storage, and then you still have extra storage, you can say, okay, let me give them, let me add maybe 100 gigabytes and see you people should use 100 gigabytes and all of that. So can go ahead to change that again and you give them. So these are basically ways where you can manage storage in the organization and see that people are working with the limits that you give them and all of that. So I think that is that. So I will move ahead to go into a site and explain the different kind of storages or what to look out for in site storage. Okay, so I still have to, before we go into SharePoint storage,
Yeah. Hi, Nyore. Are you here? Okay, I think it's network issues. Yeah, just give us some time, like 2 minutes. She'll join back in. she's away, if you have any question, you can drop your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A session. If you have any question, please drop your question before she joins back in.
Sorry, I think I got disconnected.
Yeah, it's
So
fine. It's fine. Welcome back.
thank you. My internet decided to back up. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen again. Okay, so I wanted to talk about let's go ahead talk about OneDrive storage. Okay, so I had just explained how we can set the default storage for each OneDrive site and also for each SharePoint site, right? So we have something called retention as well in OneDrive. So just in your SharePoint Admin Center settings where we had the SharePoint or OneDrive storage limits, we have what we call retention as well for OneDrive. By default, it is set to 30 days. This is basically for when a OneDrive site is deleted. So you can see the description here says, set the default OneDrive retention for deleted users. So when a user is deleted, the user's OneDrive is going to stay for 30 days before it goes through the deletion phase. So you can see here it says enter a value from 30 through 360 days. So you as a SharePoint admin, you can say when I delete a user in the organization, I want the user's OneDrive storage to stay up to 100 days before it gets deleted. So I can increase this from 30 to 100 and say save, right? Or I can do more, but 30 days is like the minimum that you can do. So you can do more, you can say 100, you can say 1,000, and then it saves. Okay, so I wanted to quickly show us that before I go back into going into a site. So I would come here into the site, but I want to show us something from the SharePoint Admin Center first. So I recently had a discussion with a SharePoint admin that said, oh, I think my SharePoint storage is wrong. I think something is wrong in my SharePoint site. I think SharePoint is using more storage than it should use. I don't believe that we have used up to this, and I think something should be done about it. So I said, okay, let's see. Let's see. I agree with you. You think it is wrong, so yes. But let's take a look and see what you are saying. So first I said, okay, because they had used all of their storage here, right? So I said, first things first, let us rearrange your site. So I said, so from here this is storage a site has used or storage all of your site has used. And then I said, okay, let's rearrange from larger to smaller. So we rearranged, and then you can see the site that has used the highest storage at the top, and then we can start drilling down bit by bit. So we got to the site and we said, okay, this is the site that has the highest storage used. So we decided to go into the site. Let me give myself permission on this site. I'm not sure I have. Okay, so we dictated the site that has the highest storage used, and then we went into the site. And then I said, okay, let's go to your storage metrics. Basically, storage metrics gives you a breakdown of everything, of all of the size of your folder, your files, and all of that. So we go into the site, go to site information, view all site settings, and then we look for storage metrics. Storage metrics is here, but if you are not very familiar that storage metrics is under site collection admin, you can just do control find and look for it. So this is your storage metrics. Your storage metrics will basically break down everything that you have used in the site, where the storage is going into, and all of that. But if you come into your storage metrics and you calculate all of this and it doesn't tally with what you have here, then there's a problem, right? So from here, we can see that this site has used 300, and this is 393, 394, and then you can clearly see that what you are seeing in your storage metrics is about the same size of what you have here. So we saw that, and then I asked him, let's go down into, so, and then your storage metrics, it basically rearranges itself from highest to lowest. So what is taking most of your storage, you would see it on the side here. And then when we got into the storage metrics, we saw a folder that was taking a lot of storage, almost 1 terabyte. That's about 800 and something gigabytes of data. And then we clicked on it. We clicked on this. So when you click on this, it will drill down again to show you everything that is here, or whatever is taking your storage. From here, we can see here that the thing that is taking the highest storage is basically a video, right? So when we got there, we discovered that a particular file or a particular content or item was taking a lot of storage. And then we discovered that it was a PST file. The PST file it was about 300 gigabytes or so for just one file. And then something else had about 200 gigabytes. Because first, when we opened the site, there was really nothing on the site. So it would be confusing that there were not a lot of files in the site. So it would be confusing why those files, why that site would be taking a lot of storage. But when we went into the storage matrix, we could see that, this file is what is taking a lot of your storage, or this file is what is taking so many storage. And then we also discovered that, okay, we say, okay, this is just one file. Why is it taking so much storage space? And then when you discover, you can see also here that you have version history. Version is also something that will take a lot of your storage, or that might take a lot of your storage. So we clicked on version history, and then we could see that, the file had a lot of versions, about three, let's say 30 or 40 versions, right? So, and then he was confused. So that explained why that file had a lot of storage. So just imagine this particular file, 198 MB times 40. You can imagine, you can now know why that file is taking a lot of storage. So each version keeps the same amount that it has used for this particular version. So if you have 10 versions here, it will be 198 times 10, which will already be amounting to how many gigabytes? So versions are something that takes storage as well. Versions are basically stored files, or files that you have made modifications to, and then they keep various versions of the modifications that you have done or the updates that you have done. So for example, if you created a file today and tomorrow you go in to modify that file, it will keep a version that you had yesterday or keep a version that you have done 1 week ago. When you now say, oh, I made a mistake, or I didn't want to do this, I didn't want to do that, you can easily go back into that file and then restore that version that you want, but it's still going to keep the same storage space that you had. So what we had to do for that customer was to go into that site. We downloaded that folder or that file that was taking all of the storage, and then we deleted the file. Once we deleted the file, it deleted all of the storage that file had taken. It deleted the file and all of the plenty versions that he had. And then we went into the recycle bin as well to delete it from there. And then we uploaded it back. Something to also note is that when you delete content from SharePoint in the hope to get your storage back, when you delete the content and you don't see the storage come back immediately, it's nothing to worry about. SharePoint takes 24 to 48 hours to release back your storage for you. Basically kind of doing a synchronization of your storage that you have used or you have deleted. So after deletion, it takes up to 48 hours to give you back your space. So I want to go into site content and just show you a bit of what I mean by the storage, the version history that we just did. Okay, we can go back to our M365 group and just do that. So let's say, for example, I create a Word document and I save it, and I just say Monday. I will say version, right? I close this. I open the document the next day, tomorrow, and then I say Tuesday. And that has saved as well. Saved. And then I close this again. And then I open it again and say, I don't want any of this. Okay. So I think I have created 3 different versions of this file. So this is the file. And when you click on the ellipsis, you see where you have version history. And then, okay, that's saved to. Okay, I hadn't closed this one, so I just need to close this. Okay, so this was the first file that I created. So if I click on it to view it, we had already done some other things in the file. And then I say, oh, sorry. Still loading. I'll just restore it in the site itself. Okay. Let's restore this version and see. I'll do that again and see what we have. Yes. So I basically wanted to show us what the sizes of version history does. So we can see that the first version I created has this size, 17 KB, and the second one has 20 KB. So if I have like 10 or 20 or 30 different versions, all of the files or all of the sizes are being added to just one file. So that is something that would increase your file storage, or that will increase your SharePoint storage. So sometimes you can take a look at increasing or decreasing your versions, depend on what you need. But these are the various ways to check what your files are using, or what the site is using, or what your users are using in their OneDrive, or what they are using in SharePoint, and how you can increase and how you can decrease your site storage, manage your site storage basically. So let's see what else we have. Okay, we've talked about OneDrive retention, view users OneDrive URL. That's not on the version. Well, let's see. Okay, so for example, as I was explaining on user storage and all of that, there is an option in the admin center where you can export your sites into an Excel, and then you can also manage storage from there. So this has been done. So this has all of my site URL. This has storage limit. We talked about storage limit. So you can see all of the sites where you have manually imputed the limits. This was the one that we did, that we gave 600, where you have manually restricted their storage to use a particular number of storage, right? And then you can also filter here to see the storage that they have used, okay, and every other thing. So one last thing. Okay, so about OneDrive retention. If you create retention policies, in a site, that's something that also affects your storage. We'll not be creating retention policies as of now, but I don't know if we had already talked about retention, but it might be something that we'll talk about later on. But when you create retention policies, you get you automatically created a preservation hold library that would be in your storage metrics. So what am I trying to say? Most times when you are confused about your storage, go into your storage metrics. It would explain, or it will break down everything that is using the site storage. It will give you a breakdown of whatever is eating up your storage, or how your storage is being utilized, and that would help you navigate or see what the issue is with storage. Okay, so I think that's for SharePoint and OneDrive storage. So if we have any questions, we can ask, and then see if we can do a bit more from there. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you, Nyore. I think we have a couple of questions here.
Okay.
Yes, the first one is from Etim. It
Mhm.
says, so I want to ask if your OneDrive is full and you received notification and then try deleting stuff and it is still showing you that you have no space. Instead refer you to buying additional space. How do you go about that in terms of clearing the one you have already rather than purchasing an extra space? I hope my question is clear. Okay, so I think you answered that question, but I'd like you to take it again. You know, when you spoke about SharePoint Online having to synchronize after
Yes.
48 hours. Yes, so please, you can just
Yes.
talk on that
So
again.
like I earlier explained, so let's say for example, this is my OneDrive, right? And then I see that my OneDrive is full, and then my organization is allocating just one terabyte of data to me. And or let's just say I'm the admin, right? And I'm not a user. I see that I have used 1 terabyte and I don't have any way of increasing the storage and I want to clear up space. First thing I would advise you to do, go into your recycle bin, right? You might have items stored in your recycle bin. And you should also note that we have first stage and second stage recycle bins. Because sometimes you might have deleted stuff from your, let me try to delete something. Delete. So I have deleted something and I say, oh, I want to clear up space. I will just delete it from here as well. Delete. Your file is gone, but it is not gone. It is still here, right? Because SharePoint OneDrive has a retention of 93 days. So even if you delete something from here, it still goes here. So to permanently delete, you go into your second stage recycle bin and then delete it as well. It's then going to be permanently deleted. And so you delete. So like I was saying, first thing I'll advise that you do, go into your recycle bin, whatever you have there, first thing, go to your second stage recycle bin, permanently delete everything from there, go into your normal recycle bin, delete whatever you have there, then also delete it from your second stage recycle bin, and then you wait for 24 hours or 48 hours to allow you get the space that you have deleted or get the space that you think that you would have when you have deleted items. So like I also said, when you have done that and you see that, oh, you have some amount of storage, you can also go into your storage metrics in your OneDrive, what we just talked about, to see, because you might look and say, oh, I don't know what's taking all of this storage. What might be taking all of this storage? Then you can go into your storage metrics in your OneDrive as well. So from here, I would return to classic OneDrive. I would go into my storage metrics to even see what file has the highest size, right? So storage metrics is here. And then from here, I can see, oh, what file is taking the largest storage that I have here. Oh, this is what is taking the largest storage. Do I have a lot of versions? If I have a lot of versions, oh, I don't really need all of these versions. I think I'm good with the latest version I have. I can download that particular file and delete the file, right? When I delete that file, it's going to clear up all of this, and then I'm left with only 8 MB of that file, which is the latest version for what I need. So those are the ways that, for me, if I want to clear up my OneDrive storage as a OneDrive user or as an admin that is restricted to 1 terabyte, that's what I would advise that you do. I hope that answers that question. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Nyore. That answers the question. We have another question from Kufri.
Okay.
It says when adjusting OneDrive retention settings, can we change the retention period directly to a new value? For example, 150 days, or must we adjust it step by step?
I'm not sure I get but let me go back to, so from what I explained, this is OneDrive, and then we go into settings here. I don't think I did anything step by step. When you go into settings and then you go into OneDrive retention, you can just change it by default. Like I said, it's 30. You can just say 150. You don't have to do 30, 40, 50. I don't know if that's what you mean by step, or you can maybe, do you mind asking or saying what you mean by step?
That's what the
Okay,
person
okay.
meant. I think the person has given
Okay.
a thumbs up already. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you very much, Nyore, for that. We have a question from Michael, which I think I've responded to. It says, we're on SharePoint admin portal. Can one restrict creation of SharePoint site by users? So I shared the last session's video recorded, yes, with
So it's
him.
still, I can just quickly say, it's still on this page on the OneDrive settings. So this is settings page, SharePoint site creation. So just on this same page, site creation, you'd uncheck this basically. But yes, it's also on that last recording, has more details on that there.
All right, thank you very much. We have another question from Michael. Is it advisable to enable the second recycle bin for users?
So I think the recycle bin for users for OneDrive is basically automatically there, because your OneDrive is your personal site, right? You are the admin of your OneDrive. That's why it is called personal site. If it's for SharePoint, yeah, you can restrict that. But users' OneDrive is their own site. They were the ones that put the documents there, right? So if I put something there, I can decide to delete it by myself. So it is there, but most people don't really even know that there's a second stage recycle bin. If you could see when I was explaining, it is basically down. So some people don't even really know that there's anything there. But yes, for OneDrive, it is there because a user is the admin of their own OneDrive. But for a SharePoint site, your permissions will restrict whether you have second stage recycle bin or not. So yeah, for OneDrive, it is there as you're an admin of your personal site.
Okay, thank you, Nyore. I don't understand this question from Michael. It says, where there is retention policy in organization. Okay, so I think it's in furtherance to that same question. Is it advisable to enable the second recycle bin for users where there is retention policy in organization?
So when there is a retention policy in your organization, okay, so for retention policy, I'm not sure if if you know well about retention policies. For example, the retention that we just talked about on OneDrive is different from retention policy. The retention we just talked about that we have here is for when users are deleted, right? When a user is deleted, you want the whole of the user's OneDrive to remain for 150 days. But for retention policy, let's say, for example, you apply a retention policy to OneDrive to say, everybody in this organization, when you create an item, it must stay for a period of 150 days or a period of 1 year for it to be deleted. In that case, when you delete something from here, we know that it doesn't go to your recycle bin. It goes into your preservation hold library and it is going to stay there. So you won't even see it in your recycle bin. is to go into your preservation hold library. And preservation hold library is basically a hidden library that you can only see when you go into storage metrics or when you put in the URL of preservation hold library. You cannot see it. So let me try and do this. For example, the preservation hold library. I'm not sure. Okay, so I don't have a retention policy for this site. That's why I can't see it. So when you enable a retention policy for a site, a preservation hold library is automatically created, or it is a hidden library. And then there's no way you can access it without using the URL. You have to be the one to actually type the URL. But when you go into your storage metrics like this, the first thing you would see that is taking all of your storage will be boldly written the preservation hold library, and then you will see it. Even when you click on it, you get an error. So you have to impute the URL for you to be able to access the preservation hold library. So what am I trying to say? If there's a retention policy on a site, when you delete items from here, it is not going to go into your recycle bin. It is firstly going to go into your preservation hold library. And then you can only delete it from the preservation hold library if you remove the retention from the site. Because when you go into your retention preservation hold library, you cannot delete it from there because it has a retention until the retention period has expired, and then it will automatically get deleted based on the way you have applied the policy. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Nyore. Wale, I can see your hand. Your hand is up. Please go ahead with your question. Unmute and go ahead.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Ore, for that wonderful presentation. Okay, my question is on the SharePoint storage that you talked about the other time. You said it's per plan. For instance, if I have Microsoft Business Premium plan, it comes with 1 terabyte. You said it comes with 1 terabyte plus 10 gig per license. So my question is, does that mean that if I have 10 licenses, for instance, I have 1 terabyte plus 10 gig multiplied by 10?
Correct.
Okay, and that is the entire storage for the SharePoint for the whole organization that staff can now share.
Yes, correct. That all the sites can share from. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's the first question. The second question is OneDrive retention policy period. OneDrive retention period. Can it be set globally such that at any point in time you delete any user, that retention period policy is applied, not individual user now? I hope you understand my question.
Yes, the policy we have set is globally. That's why we're doing it from the admin center. So this is the SharePoint admin center, and then OneDrive retention. So this policy we have set for 150 days is for any user that is deleted from the organization.
Okay.
So it's not per user, it's for any user in the whole organization. When a user is deleted, the user's OneDrive will stay for 150 days before it gets deleted. So it is a global setting, not per user.
Okay. That's fine. Then last question, sorry. This doesn't have anything to do with this presentation. I just want to find out SharePoint. I think SharePoint is part of the apps for Microsoft Business Premium.
Yes. Premium has SharePoint.
Okay, because when I try to download the apps for that plan. I noticed that SharePoint was not part of the apps. So does that mean I have to?
Sorry, you mean the apps, like downloading the apps itself, or the applications that you find here?
Oh, yes, the application that I found here. Yeah, SharePoint is not part of it. Okay, but I can see it here now.
Supposed to be part of it.
And my plan is business premium.
That's
so
yeah. So that's okay. So let me answer that. So
Okay.
I would like you, Wale, to go to your admin portal, go to users, click on that users, and go to licenses. So under licenses, scroll down to apps and check if SharePoint is selected. So I think you should have SharePoint Plan 2 selected. So if it's not selected, select SharePoint and then save. So after a while, under the apps where Nyore has shown you, you should get the SharePoint app should come up.
Okay, I will try that option. Thank you.
Right.
All right.
Okay, so Michael, your hand is up. Wale, you can mute now. Thank you. Michael, please go ahead.
Yes, good evening, everyone. And thank you to the speaker and the moderator. So my question is still about the tenant storage and site storage. I'm still a bit confused. If by default, 1 terabyte storage comes with the tenant, with getting the tenant, and then for every user you get 10 gigabytes. Let's say 10 times 10 users, that's about that's our 100 gigabytes, right? So
Yes.
the entire thing now has 1.1 terabytes.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
each site can do 25 terabytes.
Mhm.
And as that, each SharePoint site can still up to 25 terabytes. And as at that moment, the organization has got 10 users only. So where did they get the balance? If, for example, a particular site was created 12, 25 terabytes and they're storing files in it, storing and storing and storing and storing. And well, okay, let's say multiple sites, and each site keep having files stored in them and all of that. Is it that when that site gets to one of the sites gets to 25 terabytes, will it even get up to that? Or how does the tenant have up to the remaining balance in order to be able to allow sites to store more than 1 terabyte? I hope you get what I'm trying to say.
Yes, I understand your question. And first, I want to say you are not the only one that gets confused by this. And that's why I started when I said people are always confused about, oh, why do I have 25 terabytes in my site? And then you are saying that I can only use 1 terabyte. So I think first, let me change this back to 25 terabytes. Sorry. 25. Okay. So, like you said, for example, you have just one. So I have 1.2 terabyte here, right? And then going into my sites, let me go into storage metrics. Site information, your site settings, storage metrics. So yes, here I have 25 terabytes. One thing that I want you to know is that, so why people are complaining, or why somebody will come and complain to say, oh, I need my storage. I don't know why people are not. So for example, this site has used 1 terabyte, right? You have used up to 1 terabyte. In your admin center, you see a red banner that says your tenant has used, or your tenant is almost out of storage, and then your sites might become read-only soon. So even if you have 25 terabyte here, like I said, the whole of your SharePoint site or tenant or storage cannot use more than 25 terabytes. This thing you are seeing here is basically telling you that, oh, you can use up to 25 terabytes in one site, but you have to have up to 25 terabytes here. So your question, if I only have 10 users in my organization and I have 1.1 terabytes, how do I get more storage so that my tenant can use 25 terabytes? Answer: you can decide to buy more storage that has 10 gigabytes, or you can go to your license where, for example, you are trying to buy a license, just the same way you buy license, you can buy extra storage that is 1 gigabyte. So you can now say 1 times 1,000, I want to buy 1,000 extra storage, or I want to buy 2,000 extra storage, right? So when you have bought that extra storage, it would then reflect here. So you can either buy more licenses or extra storage to increase your storage here. So if you have bought more licenses or more extra storage, and then you have up to 25 terabyte here, you can now use 25 terabyte here. You cannot use up to 25 terabyte here when you don't have it here. Your tenants would have been all of your sites. Once you have exceeded your storage, SharePoint will give you some grace period, some days of grace period. There's no exact amount of days that has been stated anywhere, but yes, Microsoft gives you some days of grace, and after that they are going to block your SharePoint sites, and then it's going to be read only until you have purchased extra storage to be able to use more storage. So, but when you have, for example, if I have used almost 1.24, there's going to be a red banner here that will tell me that my storage is almost exceeded and I need to buy more storage. So I hope that answers you.
Yes, clearly. Thank you very much. One more question, please. How can
Okay.
I restrict the kind of files that people can store in their SharePoint sites? Like, for example, maybe when you're sharing whatever you're sharing, you can. Okay, let's say I don't want you to store. Let's say this is a small organization. We can't afford to buy large storage like large organizations could buy. Imagine the kind of the amount of money organizations like Oracle can use to buy storage from Microsoft, for example. We're a small organization, we don't have that kind of money. So I want to restrict the kind of files that people can store in their SharePoint sites in order to be able to manage, how fast they fill up their SharePoint sites. So let's say I want to restrict video files. You cannot store video files on your SharePoint site. If you want to store video files, get an external hard drive and store it there, or store it somewhere, but you cannot share video files, which are usually large, in your SharePoint sites or on OneDrive. How can I do that kind of restriction?
So there are some file types that are not acceptable to upload in SharePoint for some time, but I think that mostly SharePoint has allowed some files, but there's no restriction to SharePoint, but there are some restrictions that are out of the box. So for now, you can be able to upload video or files into your SharePoint site, but I know that there are PowerShells or there are scripts that you can run for your site to customize some things, and that would be us going into advanced or going advanced, and we might not be able to do that right now. But I just want to show you that file upload, there are sizes of files, or there are sizes that you can upload at once. So for example, you can only upload an individual file that is 25 gigabytes, right, at once. You cannot upload something that is more than 25 gigabytes at once. If you're trying to do that, SharePoint would not even allow you to upload it in the first place, right? So, and then you can also set alerts. When you go to Compliance Center, there's something called alerts that you can create alerts to say, oh, when somebody uploads a file that is larger than this, it should send you an email. So there are various ways that you can do that. So, but the out of the box way, or the out of the box upload and download limit for SharePoint or OneDrive at the moment is 250 gigabytes. So yeah.
So
And
as an
then
admin, there's no way you restriction yourself, like restrict type of files and all that. As an admin, there's no way to do that yourself.
so yes, like I said, out of the box way, not really, but you can always go to Microsoft community or check PowerShell scripts that you can use to do that. That's why I said that would be more advanced. There's a way you can do that. There are PowerShells for majorly anything that you can think about, right? You can then, when you are very comfortable with scripts, you can run a PowerShell script to say, okay, I want to limit people from uploading MP4 files into my SharePoint site and all of that. But for that, for now, MP3, MP4, that's video files can be uploaded into your
Okay.
SharePoint site.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just that as an example. Okay, so lastly, this is more like a general thing. Talking of SharePoint developers, I'll see some job descriptions that has SharePoint development or SharePoint developer. What exactly does that mean? What does SharePoint developer do that is different from what you will do as a SharePoint admin? I'd like to have a clarification on that. SharePoint developer.
Okay, so for my own understanding and working on SharePoint developers that some organizations mean are people that use SharePoint and then use SharePoint framework, which is called SPFX framework. People that code, you can use C# or React and all of that for SharePoint. So there are some things that are out of the box in SharePoint, and there are some things that you can use codes and commands for, right? You can, so basically SharePoint is something that you can always plug in. You can add some codes to basically customize it to what your organization wants to do, right? So if you SharePoint developers that some organizations mean are people that have used, so maybe later if you have some time, you can go and check SharePoint SPFX framework. Those are that's like advanced SharePoint where you code. That is what some organizations mean by SharePoint developer. So they need you to know SPFX framework, which is basically coding and doing more things that SharePoint, you would want your SharePoint to do. Basically your intranet, your website, you want it to do this, you want it to do that. And then there are some things that we only work when you code or when you use codes to do them. So yes, that's what's from my own SharePoint work and administration. That's what they mean by SharePoint developers. So what we are doing here like this, we can say, oh, SharePoint administration, SharePoint developer to some extent, but some organizations need you to have a bit of coding experience. Yes, that's what I'll put it. A bit of coding experience where you can code in SharePoint. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your questions, for your attention. Thank you, Nyore. I think in the chat, I have posted the community, Nigerian M365 community YouTube channel, so that we can easily access that, and also the WhatsApp channel. We can join the WhatsApp group so that we are updated on things that or events, upcoming events, and other things that might be coming up or being discussed in the community. Michael's hand is up. I think Michael Azu, please go ahead with your question.
Good evening, everybody. and thank you to the moderators and the presenter of this wonderful program. So my question is two questions. Is there a learning path for SharePoint, and also does it have a certification for it?
Okay. Joshua, will you be able to take that?
You can go ahead with that.
Okay. So, a learning path for SharePoint. Yes, I would say they are learning paths, and basically that is what I think that's what we're doing at the moment. When you go online as well, I think if you are trying to learn SharePoint, right, when you go online, when you are trying to learn anything, first things first is introduction to this, introduction to that. So introduction to SharePoint, it would, from the sessions that we have had, that's what we have been trying to do, to take you through step by step on how you can get comfortable with SharePoint, and then you can then say, okay, I know a bit of SharePoint, and then you can start going advanced and all of that. Certification for SharePoint, there is I might be able to drop that later on the group, but yes, there are some certifications that you can take for SharePoint. I think M365 Teamwork, and that basically comprises of SharePoint and Teams, right? So it's a combination of SharePoint and Teams together. That's one certification for SharePoint that you can take. I will check that and drop on the chat. But yes, there are certifications for SharePoint, and I think that's one. It is called M365 Teamwork. It is a combination of SharePoint and Teams together. So yeah, I don't know if that answers you.
Yes, it did. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. So just to
Somebody
add, I think you can also follow the M365. There is this certification, this learning part from Microsoft 365 with the foundation MS900. I don't know if it's still available. I think you can still follow that, and then that's where, like Nyore said, you'll be introduced to SharePoint Online, and then based on what is discussed there, you can also get Microsoft documentations to assist you, like what we have done today, SharePoint, quota, limit, and all. You can search them on Microsoft Edge, and then you get Microsoft documentations for them that explains even in details, right? Okay, so Etim, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. I don't know. Can you hear me from my?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Special thank you for the organizers of this event or probably program, and I want to ask. Though I had already dropped the question on the chat board, I obviously stepped out because I'm in the office, so trying to shorten this and try to get to resolve some issues. So now I happen to have my OneDrive, and obviously I had a notification that the thing is filled up. So I deleted, and it's still showing X. I've deleted almost all things and trying to like free some space at least to get rid of the X on that is showing on the cloudy OneDrive, but then it's not going. I don't know. I think you had addressed the question. I don't know. Can you show more light on it again? Sorry.
So your OneDrive, is it OneDrive for business or personal OneDrive?
Yeah, it's personal.
Okay. Personal OneDrive. You've deleted items from it, and then have you deleted from the recycle bin as well?
Sure. Yeah, I've done that.
Okay, so you said it's showing X. The X that it is showing, what does it say?
It's just telling me get more storage and to back up these files and showing upgrade, and the other option is free space and the rest of it. But
Okay, so first thing we should note is personal OneDrive is different from business OneDrive. And I think your personal OneDrive is the one you get with your Gmail or your Yahoo Mail and all of that. And I think that one just comes with 2 gigabytes of storage, which is very, very small. I'm not sure if it's 2 gigabytes or if it is more. So if it is telling you to get more storage, I think you have to delete more and give it some time to sink in the storage. I don't know if personal OneDrive works the same as business OneDrive, but like I explained during the call, business OneDrive take like 24 to 48 hours to free up your space. So if you have deleted something today, you need to wait for about 2 days to get the storage that you have deleted back. So I need to mute your mic because it's noisy. Yeah. So like you said, it's your personal OneDrive, and I don't think personal OneDrive gives a lot of storage space. So if it is still saying that you need to delete some items, you need to find out what particular file or folder is taking the whole of your storage, and then you might want to delete that one, see that you have enough storage, and then you can upload it back if that works for you. Yeah.
all right, thank you. So should in case I want to upgrade to business, you said, right? So is there any steps to go about that?
To get business OneDrive's work or school account, or you can just buy a OneDrive. You can just create an Office 365 account and buy a OneDrive. You can say you want to buy a OneDrive plan 1 license, and then that will give you 1 terabyte of space. So they are basically different. Personal and business, you cannot upgrade it. So when you get a business OneDrive or a work or school OneDrive, you just need to download what you have in your personal OneDrive and take it to your business OneDrive. You cannot directly upgrade because they are 2 different ones. The OneDrive personal is just a free OneDrive that you can just go online and then get. But the business OneDrive is your work or school account. So there's not part to upgrade. You just need to download what you have from personal and then upload it into your business OneDrive.
All
Yeah.
right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Yeah, so there's no relationship between the personal and business, right? They are not in any way related, so you have to do them separately. Thank you, Nyore, for that. And just to give us like a tip on what was taught today and feel it back. If you are not in the Microsoft 365 space already, or you are there and you are interviewing for a remote job, so things like this that was discussed today, last 2 weeks, especially today, are things that are being asked during interview, right? They are interview questions. So a lot of confusion, even for some professionals, regarding the OneDrive entire storage and then personal site storage limit and all that. So again, it's good to just have an idea, and if you still have some doubt, I will encourage us to go back and listen to or watch this session again to ensure that we have a grasp of what was taught today. Thank you very much. I think we have exhausted all questions. Again, I just want to, before we finally go off, I would like to tell us about the conference that is coming up in October, on the 17th of October 2025. That's the maiden conference for the Nigerian 365 community, in conjunction with AgentCon, where both communities come together to talk about things in the Microsoft 365 space and even in the AI world, right? And then again, it's a time where we need to get to see ourselves, put faces to the names and all that, right? So you are all invited. Please, I'll drop the link in the chat now so that we can all register. Please, I would advise that we register as quickly as possible because there's a limit. Once the space is filled up, we'll close out the registration form, and then you'll not be able to register again. So please, the link is already in the chat box already. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time this weekend, and I hope you enjoyed the session. We hope to see you in the next session. So join the WhatsApp group so that you can be aware of the next session, the time, the date, and even the topic. Cheers. Bye-bye, everyone.